Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited. We are on the record. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarina and welcome to this episode of On the Record. And what a treat today. Oh, my goodness. We get to taste wine. I'm not kidding. Joining us, Jen Bingham. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
And Julian Mayor. Thank you so much for being here with Cru Cellars. So, Jen, let's get right into it. And we, of course, have some wine on the table. Tell us about you and about Cru Cellars.
Yeah, my husband, Tori, and I started Cru in 2010, so we just celebrated 12 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That location's on MacDill, and we had just moved here from Chicago and didn't really see like kind of the types of wines or wine shop that we were used to in Chicago, so we decided to start our own. And we did very minimally at first. It was just Tori and me, and we had a wine shop in the front and a wine bar in the back with just cheese and charcuterie. And I was like serving wine by the glass behind the bar, and then threw Tori in the back, and he had to do all the dishes and make the cheese plates. And we didn't even have a dishwasher at that time, so he's still like bitter about that because he won't wash wine glasses at home.
He won't.
No, so I have to wash all those. But yeah, we just started kind of like small and organically and grew as we could over the years.
And I want to get back to that, but Julian is your...
I am, well, Director of Talent, which is a fun title, but I work with Cru mostly in educational capacity. I do a lot of the staff trainings, but also the classes that we do for our guests and customers, either in Cru or throughout the city.
So Julian, though, it's so interesting, though. This is something, a passion that you never thought that you would initially entertain, right? Weren't you in foreign policy or something like that?
You know, honestly, I don't know anybody, maybe one person who grew up saying I want to be a sommelier or I want to be in wine. Right. But yeah, I thought I went to school for international relations and foreign policy, and that's what took me to Washington, D.C., where I worked. I was a federal employee, you know, putting together meetings and conferences that brought people from all over the world to D.C. to have meetings with their counterparts there. And after a while, you know, you had to also organize dinners and lunches after the meetings. So I had to study about food and wine. So I was always the one picking the restaurants or putting together the menus. And after a while, I said, you know what? I kind of like that a lot better.
Gosh, I love hearing stories like that because sometimes, you know, you don't realize where your life is going to lead you. And they always say a career is a career where a job is a job. And it's wonderful that you found your career in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun to do what you love to do, right?
Absolutely. I love being here. I mean, this is so cool. So speaking of that, we are also the proud host of Unlocking Tampa Bay for Visit Tampa Bay. So speaking, Jen, when you were talking about when you first moved here, you and your husband from Chicago, I went to college in Chicago as well.
Oh, nice.
So you saw that we didn't have places like this.
Yeah.
Isn't Tampa just booming right now? Can you talk about that and talk about why that's so important for a community as a whole?
Yeah, it's great to see Tampa growing so much. I mean, we were one of just a few wine shops and bars when we started in 2010. And then we opened Cru Armature in 2018. And since then, I just feel like Tampa's been booming. There's so many new neighborhoods being built and so many opportunities that have come our way because of that. And we love being part of the city. And we're actually opening more locations this year. We're opening a couple different concepts this year.
Isn't that fun, though? Like, we're becoming, because you lived in D.C., as you said, Julian. So we're becoming, don't you guys feel like we're becoming, I'm so proud of Tampa, but I feel like we are becoming like a city.
Like a real city, yeah.
Yes,
oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so much fun on the show because we're going to try some wines in the second half. But talk to us if you can. And again, I love the show because it's unedited, unscripted. Why is wine so important and why can it be a game changer for people? You know what I mean? Like when you go out to dinner or you go somewhere, the wine can really set the mood.
Yeah. I mean, I think...
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's setting the mood. There's no other beverage on earth that I think is more meant to be shared than wine.
It's so romantic.
It's easy.
You're right.
I can have a beer on the couch watching the game. I can sit at the end of the bar by myself and have a cocktail. You pop open a bottle of wine and you want to have people around you to pour those glasses and talk about it,
Yeah.
toast. So it's definitely meant to be shared. And I think it's the one beverage in the world that really builds community when you're drinking it.
You know what? I know that the team is like, oh my gosh, she's dying right now because I have Love in America and Dating in America and about relationships. I am in love with love.
Yeah.
So you are right. It is something to be shared. And Jen, you find that as well.
Yeah, I think that there's just endless conversations you can have around the wine, like even just talking about one bottle, like after you open it, maybe where it came from and then how it's evolving in the glass. And then most of the time we're eating while we're drinking wine, so how it's pairing with different types of foods.
So we have so many questions that we're going to ask you, and we're going to taste some wines. But I want to do a few questions right now because sometimes, you go into Cru Cellars. You can walk into Cru too, though, and buy bottles of wine.
Yeah, we have a big retail section at our McDill location.
See, which is wonderful because I think a lot of times people go in and they look for wines, and you get a bit overwhelmed. What is a good price point for wine? And I know that's a tough question because, wine, you could pay maybe $10 a bottle for, all the way up to $10,000, right? Mm-hmm. But what should people be looking for when they're choosing a bottle of wine?
Yeah, I mean, most of what we have at Cru is between, I'd say $12 and $40 a bottle. So I call it like wine every day, just kind of that everyday price point that's approachable. I think there's a big difference between drinking a wine. If you can get over $15, if you're in that $15 to $25 or $30 range, I think there's a big difference there and a lot of value to be had compared if you're under $15. So I think if you can just level up to right there, yeah.
Yeah, the jump, I think in terms of quality is a lot larger. Let's say from $10 to $20, does the wine taste twice as good? Some people might argue, but I would say, yeah, it does. Does a $400 bottle taste twice as good as a $200 bottle? That's where it's not as
clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, but if you could if the consumer can get past the $15 point, that's
or even 20.
Yeah, even 20. Oh yeah, no, definitely. And plus, as you guys, I mean, wines to me too, they're very special for special occasions. I know you can have a glass of wine every single day, but what you were talking about toasting and having a glass of wine or celebrating an anniversary, birthday parties. I have been to Cru many times with my 15-year-old. No, she's not drinking. But she loves cheese plates. She loves cheese plates. And so I will go with a group of moms with the little girls, and it's so enjoyable. We'll toast, and then they'll have their drinks. Before we go into the second half, let me ask a few questions because I appreciate this list. These are some of the top questions that you guys get, right?
Yeah.
So how long can I keep a bottle of wine after it's open? As a consumer, I've always felt like white wine lasts longer than red wine. Am I wrong?
You take this because I never have any to keep.
Left over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, does white wine last a little longer? It can. Number one, it typically has higher acid, and acid is a preservative. It helps wine last longer. Also, you keep white wine in the fridge more than you would red wine, and lowering the temperature will help a wine last longer as well. I find that regardless of whether it's white or red, you pop open a bottle, that oxygen starts to work on the bottle. So for me, usually after a day and a half, maybe 2 days, you start noticing the fruit isn't as fresh or as bright as it used to be. After the third day, it really doesn't taste the same. I would recommend if you pop open a regular size bottle like this, you can definitely, if you can finish it by the second day, even better. But putting it in the fridge will help it last longer. Using one of those vacuum sealers.
That was my question. So do those really work?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll add another day or two to how long it lasts. And then there are all sorts of different gadgets you can use to help your wine last longer. There's something called a Coravin, where it's basically a surgical needle that goes into the bottle and you get wine out of the bottle without ever having to open it. That way there's no oxygen going to work on the bottle, making it deteriorate faster.
So right before we go to the break, off that question though, in these gadgets that we have, because I honestly get overwhelmed. I mean, gosh, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Is there one that you would recommend, or is there a price point on any of those?
The Coravin is really expensive, and it's been very useful for more industry people. It allows us at Cru to pour something by the glass that might be really expensive that we wouldn't normally pour. So we could offer something like like a really nice white Burgundy or something that normally would be like $50 a glass, we wouldn't be able to go through it. So we could offer something cool like that. So, and then wine reps use it all the time because it lets their samples last longer. I think the Corvin's better for someone if they have like a wine cellar at home, because you can kind of check on how your wines are aging. And then I think just a simple decanter is a great tool.
Yeah, decanter is great for making your wine open up and taste better sooner. And you don't even need to buy a fancy decanter. Honestly, I've put some wine into a flower vase before, and it works the same way.
It's just as beautiful. Oh gosh, guys, so many more questions, and I'm so excited we get to taste some wine. All right, stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in a moment.
Why is Precision Garage Door a name you can trust? Because of the Precision Promise.
Precision Garage Door, this is Sophia. How may I help you?
Your call is answered day or night by a live person ready to help.
That's our promise.
Our technicians will arrive on time in one of our recognizable, fully stocked vehicles.
That's our promise.
And there's never an extra charge for nights or weekends to repair your garage door. Quality service quickly from a name you can trust. That's the Precision Promise.
Precision Door Service, a name you can trust.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to On the Record. Okay, what a treat today. Yes, we have a table full of wine. We're talking to Jen Bingham of Cru Cellars and Julian Mayor. Guys, again, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
No,
thank you.
This is fun.
Oh,
We've got lots of wine.
I think I'm having just maybe a little bit of fun. So, guys, okay, what wines do we have here today that we're going to be trying?
We have an example of 2 different whites and 2 different reds that will kind of contrast each other, so we can kind of show you the different types of styles out there.
Okay, so I'm very excited about this. So let's start with the whites. What are the whites?
Yeah, you want to take it?
Absolutely. Wine number one.
Wine number one.
All the way
which is over
closer
here.
to your
Okay,
left, yes.
wine number one. Okay.
So starting with 2 white wines, 2 very different white wines, and we chose these because they represent different styles, also come from different parts of the world. Wine number 1 is a Sancerre. You may have heard of the word Sancerre. Sancerre is always 100% Sauvignon Blanc, and you really will never see the word Sauvignon Blanc on the front label of a Sancerre. And that is a big telltale sign that this is a wine from the old world, from France or from Europe, where a lot of wines are named by the region that they're from, not the grape variety. So Sancerre is the name of a little town in the Loire Valley of France. If you have a white wine that has the word Sancerre on it, it has to be 100% Sauvignon Blanc by law.
By law.
And it only comes from a very specific area with defined boundaries. And then there's all these other rules about how it can be made, how many grapes you can grow, when it can be sold after you've made it, things like that.
So Jen and Julian, I always hear when you get a Sauvignon Blanc, try to stick with something from New Zealand. So is that
You do? You hear that?
I do hear that. So but
That's
is that not?
No, they're great. That's a really popular style. That's probably the region that like put Sauvignon Blanc on the map for so many people. And Sauvignon Blanc by the glass at Cru is like one of our biggest sellers. So we usually try to introduce people to Sauvignon Blanc not from New Zealand, just to show them something different. And we brought Sancerre today because that's kind of like the home place of Sauvignon Blanc in France. And when you're trying Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, or it's even made in South America and South Africa, and then it's also made in California and Bordeaux, you're kind of always comparing it back to this classic style of Sauvignon Blanc.
I'm so excited to try and knowing it's from that community. So we should try it. Let's see. Oh, is it important to swirl too? I'm sorry.
Swirling introduces oxygen to
okay.
the wine in your glass, and that helps to release more aromas. It helps you smell better. That's why wine glasses are shaped the way they are, so that the aromas concentrate at the narrower top, so that when you smell it, you get more. And if you know how you can't really taste things when you have a cold, it's because if you smell better, you taste better, right? So
yes. So they're made. So wine glasses are made specific like this for a reason. That's why, again, that's why I love this show. You learn so much. Yeah. This is excellent. It's crispy.
Exactly. That's the point of a Sancerre. It should be light, lean, crisp, refreshing.
It's fantastic. So then the other one is a Chardonnay.
Exactly, from California. So again, there are classic styles of Chardonnay, typically from France, which is where Chardonnay is originally from. Anytime you see a white Burgundy, that is 100% Chardonnay. Again, kind of like Sancerre, if it's Burgundy and it's white, by law it has to be made from Chardonnay. Now, Chardonnay is one of those grapes that grows everywhere in the world. And California has done a great job of defining their particular style of it too. So when you taste this, at least compared to the Sancerre, for example.
Because Chardonnays are typically more buttery or
Exactly,
heavier.
yeah.
right?
Can be, especially from California. And that is a very specific style that is made that way. That's just always been the tradition in California to do
This
things
is
that way.
great. And
Right?
yes, and and I have to say, typically for me, when I order a glass of white wine, it usually is a Sauvignon Blanc or maybe a Pinot Grigio. I don't drink Chardonnay as much, but I like this.
Do you?
Yes, I love this.
Yeah, this is definitely a very restrained style of California Chardonnay. It's not very buttery. It's not too oaky. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of those like vanilla and toasty flavors. It's there, but in a softer style. So they do a nice job of really reining it in, not making it over the top. And it's great. I mean, if you like something like this and you would prefer something less buttery, I get the feeling that you say you normally don't drink Chardonnay because you don't want that buttery flavor. I mean, you can get a Chardonnay from France, from Burgundy, for example, or from other parts of Europe. They usually don't make them as buttery as you would find in California. Or if you like the buttery
And
style,
I hear a lot
go
of
for
people
it.
love
They
the
do,
buttery
yeah.
style. Right, they love the buttery
Absolutely.
style. So the price point on these two bottles, how much are these bottles?
This one is around 20.
Yeah, the Chardonnay is about 20, give or take.
Great.
Sancerre, because of the name, the location, they don't make a lot of wine there. It is a little bit more expensive for a Sauvignon Blanc, so most Sancerres you'll find starting around 30 and going up. There are some expensive ones. That being said, you can find Sauvignon Blancs from the Loire Valley of France that don't have the word Sancerre on the label, but they are made nearby in a very similar style, and they will be a lot cheaper because they don't have that name recognition.
But you know what? And yes, I appreciate that so much. But when we were talking about special occasions or sharing a bottle of a special wine, it gives me goosebumps really with, how special to bring.
Well, it's great to say,
oh my
with love
gosh.
a Sancerre.
Yes. Here you go. Here's a Sancerre. We're celebrating with a Sancerre. No, it's wonderful. So now with the red, what are the reds?
So we brought two reds that also have kind of contrasting styles, a light red and a fuller bodied red. A lot of times at Cru, people will be like, we're like, what do you want to drink? And they're like, I don't know, Pinot or Cab. And we're like, those are so similar to each other. So let's talk about how they're different. Pinot Noir is a very light red. It has a thinner skin, so that transfers when you make the wine. It just has a lighter body to it. It's not as full and tannic. It has more red fruits than like black fruits. So that's what we have on the left. It's a Pinot Noir from the Willamette Valley in Oregon. And then on the right, we have a Cab. So we have a fuller bodied Cab. Which one did we open? This one from
Obsidian
California.
Ridge, which is neat because it comes from a part of California called Lake County, which you normally don't hear, but it's right next door to Napa. So in Napa Valley, of course, is known for its Cabernets. Again, you can get a Cabernet from Lake County that's very similar, usually at a nicer price than you would from the bigger name areas.
I am definitely, like, on a personal note, I prefer Cabs. I like the heavier wine, but I love Pinot. Believe me, I'm not discriminating at all because I am more of a red wine drinker.
This Cab has a beautiful nose. Has kind of like a toasty cedar quality to it.
This Pinot Noir is fantastic, though.
I love the Oregon Pinots. They kind of fall a little bit in between the style of a California Pinot Noir, which has more fruit, and then we just talked about white Burgundy. Red Burgundy is Pinot Noir as well. So those are a little bit more earthy. So we love Oregon because it kind of falls right in between those styles and offers a lot of value.
So what are the price points of these two bottles of wine?
This one was like 25 or 30.
Right, between 25 and 30 for the Pinot Noir. The Obsidian Ridge is about $45.
Yeah, because I have ordered that, or I've had that. I think at Cru Cellars, actually. No, it's fantastic. So all of these are great. Let's talk about why is it some people say wines can give you a headache, and do red wines give you more of a headache over a white wine?
Yeah, we get this question a lot. A lot of people think it's the sulfites. Can you explain why it's not really the sulfites?
So a lot of research has gone into sulfites in wine and sulfite allergies. There is a small percentage of the population that does have sulfite allergies, but when they are exposed to sulfites, it expresses itself more as an asthmatic reaction rather than headaches. A lot of times headaches come from one of two things. Alcohol can give you headaches. Alcohol does dehydrate you. I know that's the one people don't want to hear, that alcohol is what's causing the headaches. Or histamines. Histamines in wines are a big factor for headaches in people. So usually histamines, there are histamines in wine, there are histamines in our body, and when you have a histamine reaction, it's your body trying to push out whatever it thinks is foreign inside your body. So that's why sometimes when people drink wine, they get a runny nose, they might get a stuffy nose, they might get itchy, and in some cases, a headache too. Histamines have a way of, how do you say, they make your blood vessels a little bit wider. So if that happens in your brain, there's more pressure, and you do get headaches from that. But the way wines are made, sometimes red wines do have more histamines than white wines, and they can cause more headaches. Funny enough, a lot of people say they get headaches from the sulfites in red wine. There are more sulfites in white wine than there are in red wine, because a lot of red wines have tannin, that drying sensation, which acts as a preservative. Sulfites are preservatives, so since white wines don't have tannins, winemakers tend to add more sulfites to white wine to help them last a little bit longer and be a little more stable.
Let me ask you this question, Jen and Julian. If you start, like I always feel like, it's Sunday fun day or Saturday or you're on vacation. If you start, I usually during the day will have white wine because I feel it's lighter. And then if you switch to red wine, is that a good idea? Do you just drink a lot of water in between? I mean, what is the best? I mean, is it not a good idea?
You can definitely make the switch. I think day drinking can be kind of a long haul sometimes. So just taking it slow and drinking a lot of water is important. I think that, it just kind of takes like practice in drinking, like getting used to the alcohol level, and it's good to drink white wine during the day because it is lower in alcohol. So you just have to know when you switch to red that it's going to be in general higher in alcohol.
So what is the percentage of being higher? Like, is it significantly higher?
No, not significantly, but most wine would be around 12 to 13%, and then if you're getting into a bigger, fuller bodied red, you can be over 14%. So it's subtle, but it's just something to know that as you move to red, it will be higher in alcohol.
Interesting. So, hopefully you're going to drink the whole bottle of wine, right? But say there is some left over. Isn't it the perfect wine to cook with? Because sometimes I'll find, I still have some wine. So I'll use it like for, even like a lamb shank in the crock pot. Because one of your questions too is about cooking wine, right? Or is there something here, or I can't see? Like, you can always use the wine that you don't drink. Because I hate throwing it away, right? You can use it for other purposes.
Leftover wine that's been sitting for a few days, especially if it's been in the fridge, is great for cooking.
Fantastic, right? It makes such a huge difference. So let me ask, when you go, if you're going to the store, hopefully to Cru Cellars, now that we know you have a retail section too, and you're trying to look for wine, are there any key things that we should be looking for? Like, is there anything, like any ingredient or something on the bottle, or is it just, a lot, right?
It's kind of like, it's such a broad question. I think like a few tips would be shop at like a local wine shop. It doesn't have to be Cru, but compared to like
You're
a
so
big...
sweet. Well, we would like to push you. Thank you for saying that. You're a class act. But shop at a local wine shop that you could get some one-on-one help.
They put time into selecting wines that they think are good for the money and like correct for that price point. And then they usually have someone there that's knowledgeable that can help you pick out something. I think just picking out a good wine just starts with learning like what you like in a wine. So take pictures of labels that you like and maybe make notes. Those wine apps are really good for kind of tracking, if you liked something, what did you like about it? So then when you go into that wine shop, you can be like, I really liked this wine because of this, and then they can help you find something else or find something similar.
I'd say it's okay to ask questions and even try things that are different but similar. Find that local wine shop where there's somebody you trust who gets to know your tastes and starts to recommend things that are similar. If you liked Sauvignon Blanc, you might like an Albarino from Spain.
Yes, I just discovered Albarino thanks to Cru Cellars, in fact.
Well,
it was fantastic.
If you liked Cabernet, you might enjoy a Priorat from Spain, which is also, so it's more about learning the styles that you like. Cabernet tends to make a rich, full-bodied style of red. Priorat from Spain is a rich, full-bodied style of red. So it's great to experiment with your wines and try different things and get those recommendations from the people you trust, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Well, speaking of asking questions, as we wrap up the show, you brought these beautiful glasses because you have a big event coming up.
We do.
So share the event and how can we get involved in it?
Yeah, it's called Fête de Vin. It's our week-long wine fest. It's the second week of November, and we did it for the first time last year, so we're doing it again this year. And we basically have at least one event every day throughout different Cru locations and our upcoming locations. And then we're also doing a party at Hyde House in Hyde Park Village with champagne. And then the big grand event is Saturday, November 12th, and it's at the top of the penthouse space at the new Water Street building. So that's where we had it last year. We were like one of the first to have an event there last year, and it just overlooks all of downtown, all of Water Street. And we're gonna have like 120 wines there.
Fantastic. So how can people are there tickets still available? Do you buy tickets? How does it work?
There are many events. Some are sold out already for November, but we do still have tickets available for a lot of the other events. Get on CruCellars.com and click on events, and you can pick all the different ones you want to attend, and it'll take you right to the ticket page.
Okay, so on the record, I would like to attend many of the events. I just want to say that. And on the record, I already asked these two. Now, they're not married to each other, but they both have amazing love stories. I want to invite you guys back for Love in America, and we can talk about how wines are so important. And what did you say, Jen, for dating in America? You got to say it.
Oh, yeah. So she was asking me if a lot of women or men hang out at Cru, and it's all really beautiful women. So if you're a single guy, come hang out at Cru.
Right. Okay, there we have it. There we have it. You know what? It might even be fun to do an actual dating in America at Cru.
I bet we could find someone that met at Cru too, because I've heard people who met at Cru and like now they're married and stuff like that. So.
Oh, now you're also talking my language. Oh my gosh, Julian Mayor, Jen Bingham, what a treat to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarina.
I have been asking you guys honestly for months, so yay, it happened! It happened!
Thank you for having us.
Yes, no, 100%, and we look forward to having you back. And speaking of that, to the audience, if you would like to be on the show, please email us. Personal love, business community, we'd love to hear from you. Just email production@redhousestreaming.com, and also email us if you want to be on the show. You can also share our show on multiple media social or multiple social media platforms. Okay, I've almost had a glass of wine. And we're also on Roku with some major announcements coming. We so appreciate having you. Can we toast, actually?
Let's do it.
Can we toast to Red House TV?
Cheers
Red House
to
TV.
that.
Thank you, Red House TV, because that is the home of the Sarina Fazan Network. Thanks again, guys.
Cheers.
And thank you for
you.
watching, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.